Good afternoon, good morning, or good night. It depends on which part of the world you are attending today. My name is Pablo Cardenas, and I would like to welcome you to XR Podium. That's how I call this board. This virtual world I created with Thomas Logan's help to make it accessible, and with some feedback from an Argentinian friend, Pablo Guardiola. Uh, I would like to thank both of them for collaborating with me to make this possible. And if you guys, as Thomas said, have any comments about environment, please let us know because we want to keep improving our accessibility and make this enjoyable for everyone. So first, I would like to give a short introduction of who I am, as well as my professional career and my studies. I love cooking, playing chess, diving with wonderful sea creatures, and taking pictures of anything that is interesting for me. Everything started when I was a kid, and I wanted to get paid for being worked in front of a computer. And the journey started in 2015 with an ADX course, Introduction to Game Design. Then, with the guidance of my brother, I started my bachelor's in animation and digital arts at Monterrey Institute of Technological and Higher Education. As I wanted to start creating virtual worlds and creatures as soon as possible, at the same time, I studied 3D design and digital animation at the University of Advanced Technologies. Then I worked for plus 1 year as a motion capture technician and a developer at X Hotels. And at the same time, I worked part-time as Unity mobile developer at Signame. Then in 2020, I won a scholarship for plus 80% to study VR/AR design and development in the Vancouver Film School. Right after my graduation, I started working for lifelike and believable animation design as technical artist using Unreal Engine. And this is my current position. Now that you know a little bit about me, let's start with the conference. So, about 97.81% of the world hasn't tried VR yet. You may be wondering, how did I came with those numbers? Well, in the world, we currently have around 7.7 billion people, and only around 171 million VR users. This shows that only around 2.20% of the world population is a VR user. So first, I would like to speak a little bit about the different types of VR headsets that we have at the moment. So we have right now mobile VR headsets that are basically headsets that we can use with your phones. So we have a lot of potential users because we only need something that holds it to your face, like a Google Cardboard, for example. And we can try some VR experiences with 3 degrees of freedom. And we also have standalone VR headsets. For example, the Oculus Quest. These headsets have their computing units inside of the headset and the graphical units too. So these headsets are able to handle mid-range VR experiences. And then we have the desktop VR. So this VR headset is the one that has less users as it requires people to be plugged in into a high-end PC or medium-range PC. So let's dive a little bit more in detail about the mobile VR. We have some pros and cons about this one. The best thing about mobile VR is that it's low cost and it has more potential users as almost everyone has a mobile phone. And it doesn't require a high-end PC, and it is very handy as it fits into our pockets. The cons is that the quality of the VR experiences is low. It has less frames per second, and it is only 3 degrees of freedom. This means that it only tracks the rotation of the headset in the 3 axes, but it doesn't track any translation. It also has one bad thing about that notifications can show in front of the content. This is very bad because this can break the immersion. And we also are constrained to the temperature and time because our mobile phones can get very hot by trying to render these VR experiences. And we also have a battery limit as our cell phones can run out of battery. Now let's talk a little bit about the standalone VR. For standalone VR, these headsets are very easy to use as they work out of the box. So you just have to buy this headset, make sure that it is charged, and log in into your account, and you can start using it right out of the box. These ones doesn't require any high-end PC as they have or computing units inside of the headset. These headsets can be found in 3 degrees of freedom as well as in 6 degrees of freedom. And they are very handy as they can fit into like any backpack. The cons is that this is still in a mid to low quality VR because they don't have too much power as a computer. They are also constrained to temperature and time. For example, in the Oculus Go, if you play more than 30 minutes in a row of a VR zombies game, it turns off automatically because it gets too hot. And we're also constrained to the battery limit. And now for the desktop VR, this is the VR headset that can give us the most quality. And all of them are with 6 degrees of freedom, so they can track your rotation and translation from controllers and headset. And some of them are handy, some of them are not, as the HTC Vive, because you need to carry also the lighthouses and the sensors that are in top of on the lighthouses. And these headsets require a high-end PC. And the frames per second that you see in these headsets, it's basically depending on how are the components of your computer. If you have better components, you're going to be able to reach more frames per second. It requires a little bit more complex setup as you need to bind your controllers and scan your area. Some of them require external sensor as the HTC Vive or the Valve Index, as I was saying. So we're going to evaluate the price of these headsets. I like to call this chart the quality against price chart, because, for example, the mobile phones, we can find the cheapest ones in $100, and we can also find Google Cardboard in $5, but we are not going to have as much quality as with a standalone, and with a standalone, we are not going to have as much quality as with a PC VR. For a standalone, we have like around $2,099 price. This is what Oculus Quest 2 is at the moment. And for the PC VR, the price just blows up like for around $2,000 because we need the headset and we also need to have a mid-end PC to a high-end PC to run these experiences. So my investigation came around from 195 countries, where we can see in this chart that China and India are the countries that have more people. And as my investigation, some amazing facts came out of it. Like there is some countries that have a higher minimum wage, as for example, Denmark, that has around $6,000 of minimum wage. And the other side, that is, for example, Venezuela, that has $4.6 as the minimum wage in a month. So this is why the market of these 3 type of VR headsets, it is very limited. But for example, for the mobile VR headset, we have a lot of more potential users. Out of those 195 countries, we have 156 countries that are able to pay this price and acquire a mobile VR hardware. I also found out that for the standalone VR, we have a little bit less potential users, and like there are only 88 countries that can purchase these VR headsets. For the PC VR, the number of potential users really drops down as we need to buy also a PC. So there are only 17 countries around the world that are able and capable to buy this equipment. Now let's talk a little bit about how VR can help people with disabilities. For this one, I couldn't make a very extensive investigation. I just could found 49 countries, as the data was very hard to find. And this reflected that there are 3 ways that we can help people with disabilities. One of the things that we can do is help them with rehabilitation. How? We can help them to perform certain movements that their therapist may want them to do in order to get better, but introducing a fun part, like a character that they should follow or a story that they have to be doing as they perform these movements. And the second thing that we can help them is we can help them to work without leaving the comfort of their houses. Because, for example, in this image, we can see that if this person was disabled, for example, he has to be in his wheelchair. And with his wheelchair, he wouldn't be able to reach the top rack. So if he's controlling this robot has the ability to go through any of these places, and this person could be able to work from the comfort of his house with the help of VR. Something else that we can help them is with entertainment, because we know that the if people that have disabilities have a very good time, so they are going to be happy, and their recovery could be better because our emotional stability also helps people to recover faster. And I would like to thank everyone for your time today. Thank you for being here. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to ask them. And also feel free to reach out to me. There are my social media and my email address.
Great. Thank you, Pablo. This is excellent. I'll start off with an initial question, and then we'll be looking on the YouTube and here in the chat for comments and questions. So just to start off, do you think that a 3DOF experience is a good introduction for getting more people involved around the world, you know, from a starting point?
Well, I think that that is a very good start point for VR, but it is not a very engaged experience because we are not able to perform certain movements in terms of translation. We are just constrained to where are we looking at, and our functionalities are less, but it could be a very good introduction for someone that hasn't tried VR yet.
Thank you. Does anyone here in the room have any questions?
I have a question. So you mentioned that there's just a few people that we can reach with the current VR setups that we have. So what's like the next thing we need to do to reach more people? Like, is there any plans, or what are your suggestions to reach more people?
Well, there is something that I'm trying to do to help users that haven't tried VR yet to try it for the first time. One of my visions is to get an Epic Mega grant for this and start making VR experiences sold to companies. For example, I have one that I'm planning to sell to Coca-Cola, and this one I am planning to place it in a park or something that, or some place that some people can see that someone is trying a VR headset, and they can go for free and try it. And at the end, this is like a brand activation for Coca-Cola, and a lot of people can get involved into trying VR for the first time.
Is this plan for any country or a specific place that we can look for?
I was thinking of Canada, but I don't know yet in which country will this happen. It probably happen in Ecuador. This will all depend in how much time does my visa paperwork will take, and if I get this MEA grant approved, and if also any company is willing to do their marketing campaign by this mode.
Sounds like a great idea, inviting more companies to the VR world. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. It was very good.
Do you have any countries that are like doing more in VR than others, or you know, when you looked at those percentages, is there a certain country, you know, or anything interesting from a specific country for a VR initiative?
No, I couldn't find something that specific about how many VR users were in each country, but that will be something that I will look at because it sounds really interesting for me.
With Facebook's recent decision to make all Quest users require FB login going to negatively or positively impact on the update of future or update of VR, what do you think about Facebook and Quest?
Well, I think that I met a lot of people that they don't like this idea of logging in into Facebook account. So maybe this will impact a little bit into these people that they don't like to have their social media involved with their games. But for most of the people, this couldn't be an issue unless you are very concerned about your privacy and your settings.
And I recommend make a fake
Yes, yeah.
Facebook account if you're gonna get a Quest. That's what I do personally. Why give them that information? And I want to end with saying thank you again to Pablo for the excellent presentation tonight. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and for bringing a little bit of your time today.